HOA Tased my daughter by our horse trailer. My wife, Special Forces, had them booked. The Karen flowers bloomed like wildfire across the hills of our Wyoming ranch, their violet petals a deceptive mask for the chaos they'd unleash. My wife, Lena, a retired Special Forces operative, had warned me about them. "They're not just flowers, Tom," she'd said, her voice low, like she was briefing a mission. "The HOA's using them to control this town." I thought she was paranoid battle scars talking. But when our daughter, Ellie, got tangled in their web, I learned the bitter truth. Ellie, 16 and fiercely independent, loved those flowers. She'd spend hours sketching their delicate veins, oblivious to the whispers about the HOA's iron grip. The Homeowners Association, led by Margaret Voss, a woman with a smile sharper than a switchblade, had turned our quiet community into a pressure cooker. They mandated Karen flowers in every yard, claiming they unified us. Refusal meant fines, ostracism, or worse. Lena, never one to bow, kept our land bare, her defiance a silent war. It started with a note slipped under our door. "Plant the flowers or Ellie pays." Lena's eyes darkened as she crumpled it. "They're testing me," she muttered. I urged her to ignore it. Ellie was safe, wasn't she? But the next day, Ellie didn't come home from school. My heart sank like a stone. We found her by our horse trailer, sprawled in the dirt, taser burns on her arm, Karen petals scattered around her like a cruel halo. She was conscious but shaken, whispering, "They said I'd learn." Lena's training kicked in. She scanned the scene, her jaw tight. "HOA's enforcers," she said, already moving. I wanted to call the sheriff, but Lena stopped me. "He's in their pocket, Tom. We handle this." Her voice was steel, but her hands trembled as she helped Ellie up. Our daughter's defiance mirrored her mother. She refused to cry, but her eyes burned with questions. "Why me, Mom?" she asked. Lena didn't answer, but I saw the guilt in her eyes. This was her war, bleeding onto our child. We tracked the trail to Voss's estate, a sprawling fortress ringed with Karen flowers. Lena moved like a predator, her old tactical gear a second skin. I carried a shotgun, more for show than skill. Ellie insisted on coming, her sketchbook clutched like a shield. "I need to know why," she said. I hated it, but Lena nodded. She saw herself in Ellie's fire. At the estate, we found Voss and her enforcer, a hulking man named Carl, loading crates of Karen seeds into a truck. Lena didn't hesitate. "You tossed my daughter," she snarled, her pistol trained on Voss. Carl lunged, but Lena disarmed him in seconds, leaving him groaning in the dirt. Voss smirked, unfazed. "You think you're above us, Lena? Those flowers fund our future. Your daughter's just collateral." The twist came from Ellie. She stepped forward, holding up her sketchbook. "I know what's in them," she said, voice steady. She'd analyzed the flowers in secret, discovering they were laced with a chemical compound addictive, mind-numbing, a tool for control. She'd shared her findings with a friend, a quiet botanist named Sarah, who'd been feeding intel to a federal agent. Sarah, the unassuming ally, had slipped through the HOA's radar, her courage turning the tide. Voss's facade cracked. "You little," she spat, but Lena cut her off, cuffing her with zip ties from her gear. The feds arrived hours later, tipped off by Sarah's call. Voss and her crew were booked, their empire crumbling. But the victory tasted bitter. Ellie's trust in the world was shattered, and Lena's guilt was a wound that wouldn't heal. "I brought this on us," she whispered that night, staring at the stars. I held her, but words failed me. The Karen flowers were uprooted, but the town's scars remained. Neighbors turned on each other, some defending Voss, others demanding justice. Ellie burned her sketches, her innocence another casualty. Lena retired her gear, but I saw her checking the perimeter each night, haunted by enemies she couldn't fight. The cost of truth was our family's peace. We won, but at what price? I ask you, reader, what's justice worth when it tears apart those you love? Share your thoughts. Where do you stand on this fractured line between right and wrong?